This is Ireland. And this is Italy. What do they have in common? Well, they're both in Europe. Just a few countries from each other. They're also both part of the EU and NATO. And the flags almost look like the same. So what is the relations between those two countries? Well, to be honest, I don't think there isn't too much. Even though I'm not Irish or Italian. Or relations did kind of slowly went up. After World War II, when Italy is trying to recover from the darkest times. Even though Ireland is just about 100 years old as independent. But they're also both allies to the US, well, of course. But to be honest, they also migrated to the US in huge numbers. Ireland and Italy have history in the US is special today, and if you're watching this, is in Southern Europe, kind of a rectangle shape. It is made up by several regions. Rome is the capital and largest city. And it borders 4 countries. It borders France to the west. The biggest. It borders of Switzerland in the northwest. Periods were a bunch of mountains in that region. And also borders of Austria and the northeast, also bunch of mountains. The borders Slovenia to the east. And pretty close to Croatia, well. But yet, Ireland is just a big island, is most likely owned 80% of the total island of the Republic of Ireland. And please don't get confused with the Northern Ireland, right? You see that 20 another percent of the island. This still part of the United Kingdom because it wants to stay, and it's one of the main factions to make up the UK along with England, Wales and Scotland, even though that will be another time. But yeah, and that shares a border with the Republic of Ireland. Because they're just across the Irish Sea from Scotland and England. And then those borders seas of the UK and EU countries. Even though there's a particles in Northern Ireland, but that's another story. Its capital and largest, Dublin. But to be honest, there isn't really that much. But for the most part, the most likely immigrants to the US in millions. Most likely poverty, overpopulation, natural disasters. Most than any other European country. Not even France and England couldn't even make the top 5. Anymore, even though it has kind of slowing down in recent decades. But there's still a lot. They most likely immigrated to the East Coast or the closest. Building up cities like New York, Philadelphia, Boston, even Chicago. But hardly in the West and the South. But at the early times in NYC they actually used to hate each other and clash. But now they're on there learning how to get along. Because of mods. Trying to get money and also build this country. They have been on many movies. Especially if you're in NYC, there's a lot of Irish pubs. And great Italian restaurants. Drinks and the spaghetti pizza. There's a bunch to name at this point. But if you are in those big hotspot areas, you can text and take a taste of both without leaving the city. And there are kind of a lot of Irish neighborhoods, and then there's Little Italy, not just in New York periods but pretty much most big cities, and I guess me and you a size too. They both build this country and helped us. This is why I really want to visit this, because due to the pandemic is so hard to do it. The Irish immigrants who arrived in America throughout the potato famine years of the 1840s were the first big wave of poor refugees. They faced anti-Catholic bigotry and clung to their faith, which was an integral part of their identity. Over time, when the Italians began arriving in New York City in large numbers around 1880, they faced fierce opposition from the Irish, who resented their working for less money and longer hours. And although they shared the same faith, Italians were viewed as superstitious because of their devotion to saints, which was expressed in the staging of elaborate feasts. Irish pastors tried to accommodate their growing Italian communities by offering them services in the basement of their churches, but Italian pride would not have it. The stalemate led to the building of churches to serve Italians and other new immigrant groups, not only in New York but other major cities. So yeah, there's a lot of here in the US. If you want to take a taste, like I said. But anyways, if you like ginger hairs, or if you love beer, and sucking a lot, and potatoes and some more potatoes and more potatoes, and mashed potatoes, and potatoes, You get the point. But if you love pizza, spaghetti, ancient history, the Roman Empire, many more, civilization, then Italy would be the place for you. But to be honest, I don't know what else to say. One, for most of comments are both. I can say they are getting stronger allies, getting closer. They both are really Catholic. They both do kind of like the share fare of their culture, including pizza and beer, like I said. They have really sunny weather in the summer. They both love football, immigration. And they do now, and days are now most likely rooting against England. And now they are slowly becoming the true brothers and sisters, and again pissing off England. So yeah, but anyways,